so good evening everyone. Welcome to UTrade's Usapang Stocks. Exciting mga pag-uusapan natin ngayong gabi dahil our experts will share their insights and opinions about what happened to August month. Mga kaibigan, please join me in welcoming our speakers for tonight, Mr. Justin Tembrevilla, Mr. Cristopher Kiko San Pedro, and Mr. Edmund Martinez from Unicapital Securities Inc. Okay, good evening ladies and gentlemen.
Hello. Good evening, Mika.
Magandang gabi.
Good evening.
Good evening, Kiko.
Good evening, Papa.
Good evening,
Mika.
Justin.
Papa Justin. Papa Ed.
Kamusta po kayo?
Good,
Okay
good.
naman. Good.
Okay naman. Ayan, TGIF
Happy long
pala
weekend.
ngayon. Yes,
Long
tama.
weekend tayo. So, nag-email na si UTrade. So,
Oo
mga
nga.
trading fans dyan, pahinga muna kayo, ha?
Use the time to build your trading plans.
Yeah.
No?
Tama.
Yes. Recharge.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so wag na nating patagalin pa. Alam kong lahat ng ating viewers ay excited na kung anong mga pag-uusapan natin ngayong gabi. So, Mr. Cristopher Kiko San Pedro, pwede po ba tayong mauna? Alamin natin kung
Sure.
kamusta na ang market. Meron ba tayong hindi in-expect ngayong buwan na to? Or kung meron bang
Alright.
bago?
Alright, sige. Guys, so I'm sure maraming masaya dyan, ha? Dahil sa isang stock. Nasakyan nyo ba yung GCash? Okay, so I think the talk of the town for this week was GCash, okay? Kung particular stock. Pero right now, mag-focus muna tayo sa market overall. Because gumanda yung market natin in particular. Alright, so testing. Okay naman ang screen ko, Rika? No? Guys,
Yes.
same view tayo, same page tayo ngayon. Okay. So, umpisahan ko na ngayon sa market review natin, PSEI. So, last month, we had the outlook, no? The mid-year outlook. Diba? I presented 3 zones, no? Bullish zone, the neutral zone, the aggressive zone or the bullish scenario, and the bearish scenario, defensive stance zone. Alright? So, the good news natin for this week was mukhang na-price in na natin ang Delta variant. Okay? Because alam natin, what happened this month was all about pricing in the Delta variant, the lockdown, and etc. Okay, the QQQ forever. Okay, I believe na price in na ng market natin ng QQQ forever and the Delta variant dito sa 6.3 levels, no? So we have survived the very scenario defensive stance zones, and right now the market closed at 6786.62. Okay, so nandito tayo ngayon sa range-bound scenario. This is what I want. I want the market to stay above 6.6 and range from here between the support zones at 6.6 and 6.9 because I believe ito yung chance natin na mag-accumulate. Okay? Alright? I believe na there will some test of support zones. There will be a lot of deep opportunities sa market natin because ito, i-replicate natin to. What is happening what happened last year. So I think ito yung scenario natin ngayon. Okay? Di ba alam natin, nag-correct ng July, nag-correct ng August month, and then nag-range pa rin siya all ng buong September. Okay, so ito yung nakikita kong scenario ngayon. So maybe we will range between 6.6 and 6.9 or 6.3 and 6.9. Okay? So short-term wise, I want the market to hold 6.6 support levels and 6.743. Okay? Para, I believe, maybe next month, we might test 6.9, 7,064, and 7.1 levels. Okay? So, sa lahat ng mga naging contrarian, na-rewardan kayo today. Na-rewardan kayo this month. Diba? We've been very adamant to be contrarian, to buy on dip, samantalahin niyo itong ghost month. Take it as an opportunity. So, I believe na repay kayo ngayon. No? So, hopefully, ito yung maging range natin. If we stay above 6.9, I'm looking target 7.4 to 8.2. Okay, 7.4 to 8.2. Hopefully by year end all the way to first quarter of next year. Okay, yan ang target ko in the 6 months. What's my target for next year? Ito, sabihin na natin long-term target ko. Okay, assuming there will be a post-election hype, post-election fever, or what we call in the market like the honeymoon effect. So I believe pwedeng bumalik ang market based sa Fibonacci natin 8.3 to 9.5 levels next year. Okay? So take this opportunity habang below 7,000 na market natin. Take this opportunity to accumulate. Okay? As long as we stay above 6.6, 6.5, 6.4 this month and next month, September, I think lalaban market natin. Thank you.
Ayan, mukhang excited ako dyan sa honeymoon effect na yan. Kayo ba, Sir Ed? Excited rin ba kayo dyan?
Oo, kasi, di ba, pag sinasabi natin ghost month, we are really talking about on the average, pag tingnan mo lahat ng August in the past 20 years, normally, majority of the Augusts are weak. But yung sinasabi din nga ni Kiko, pag kinompare mo yung mga elections over time, ganun din nangyayari. Merong uplift in stocks. Si Kiko nga medyo malayo-layo na yung tingin niya ako. Yung Santa Claus rally lang ang habol ko because 'di ba kung medyo we saw some weakness in August, if you are a passive investor like me, hindi naman ako trader, ako yung more of looking for stocks na medyo mura na o yung mga large cap na matagal ko nang gustong mag-participate into or yung mga funds na feeling ko na quite on the high side. I usually use August as my entry. And then kapag when it comes to fourth quarter, pag merong konting rally, then it's also time for me to take some profits off the table. So I think yung pinaka-unexpected for me was, as Kiko has mentioned, yung pagkaka-price in ng Delta variant. I mean, 'di ba sa news tsaka dun sa outlook natin, one of our guests medyo naging quite negative about what's going to happen. In fact,
yes.
'di ba? Medyo na-spook ng konting market, and true enough, we've registered higher, all-time high natin sa COVID counts, 'di ba? In the past couple of weeks, but I was quite surprised that the market really held up its own in the past couple of weeks as well. So, true enough, 'di ba, yung mga naging contrarian, yung medyo malakas ang loob who started cost averaging during that period, talagang na-reward sila ngayon. But ako, I'm not looking too far. I'm just looking at it as kunyari, what I buy, what I purchase in August, medyo may konting pang Christmas, di ba? For the family, yeah.
Okay, maraming salamat, Kiko and Sir Ed. Actually, ako, nag-abang din talaga ako ngayong August kasi sabi ko, it's the best time. Lalo na nung papalapit na yung August, bumaksak na lahat Andun na, nagparamdam na sila. And, syempre,
tapos,
ako nag-abang din ako talaga.
Sabi pa nung guest namin, magpa-5-2 daw. Di ba, Paps?
Takutan na.
Takutan na yun.
Sabi ko, laban muna 6,000.
Di ba?
Okay, so pakinggan naman natin kay Mr. Justin kung ano ang kanyang hindi in-expect ngayong August.
Yeah, for August kasi I think we're experiencing a new normal, no? And this is one of the few ghost months that the market really moved up compared to previous ghost months. And I guess investors really had to digest a new flavor, yung the telco. And also, if you're an investor, kailangan i-monitor mo rin na, ay, ghost month, di mo na ako mag-i-invest. You still have to study the market and abangan mo yung mga developments. Like for this week, yung pronouncement na on the telco, that there are some groups kasi that want to push for higher percentage of foreign ownership for telco. So one possibility for that is the competition would tighten because there could be other foreign entrants. However, you should also take note that the key or the top two players in the industry, Tel and Globe, are also partly owned by foreign. So si Globe, we have Singtel, and si PLDT naman, we have NTT Docomo. So if matuloy yung bill na yun or yung proposition na yun, I think those foreign partners would also increase their stake. So going forward, mag-i-improve din naman yung service na inaasahan natin for those two telco players. And I think just today, pronouncement from President Duterte that he'll be opening up the gaming industry to shore up revenues because the country really needs financing as a part of COVID response. So I think di pa naman tapos yung ghost month. So by next week, we expect a really volatile session for those gaming-related stocks.
Ayan, grabe
I
pala.
see, oh. Okay,
Kabang-abang
noted
yan.
dun.
Sige.
Oo.
At least nabigyan na tayo ng ano ni Sir Justin. Yes, Sir Ed.
Sorry, naka-mute pala ako. When you say gaming, Justin, mga casinos ito, no?
Yes,
Mga
casinos.
casino stocks, okay.
Okay,
I think
ayan.
one share already made some price movement, no, yung LR.
Okay.
Mm,
Kasi I think during the pandemic, those shares were really no? Parang nagka-problema eh. So it's about time din, right?
mm.
Yes, I
Ayan.
agree.
Okay, so since you've mentioned, our speakers mentioned yung mga things na nangyari at hindi in-expect na yung ghost month, alamin na naman natin, syempre, alam kong gustong-gustong malaman ng ating mga viewers, is this the right time to invest ngayong paparating ng September? Ano ba yung mga do's and don'ts after the August month? Meron po bang pwede naming malaman or meron ba kayong pwedeng masuggest sa amin? Yes, Sir Ed?
Ako kaagad. Sige. Ako, I think I would like to echo yung nabanggit ni Kiko, and ni Justin din, no? Na hindi porkit ghost month is hindi ka na mag-i-invest. Sa akin, you just have to look at the market and look at the data. Kahit technician ka, kahit may opinion ka sa market, you have to be ready to change it when data tells you otherwise. Like for instance, ilang beses nating inuulit yan, di ba? Nung ghost month, nung may nakakita tayo ng medyo malim na correction, na talaga nagmumura na yung mga shares. And in fact, dun nga sa ating tool, sa ating smart bull, which is accessible through unicapitalsecurities.com, yan yung tipong while the market is running during that week, lumalaki yung number of shares that are trading at a discount. So sa akin, just take into account yung data. Remember that for passive investors like me, yung medyo hindi naman masyadong matrade, yan ang opportunity nating pumasok. Dahil, di ba? Parang it's always a good time for us to express our contrarian view na binabanggit kanina ni Opa Kiko na very important because when the markets are weak and a lot of people are scaring you, in fact, ako nga, personally, medyo nasindak ako ng konti doon eh. To be honest with you guys, nung nag-outlook tayo, sabi ko, wow, medyo mukhang negative. But I always tend to catch myself eh. Pag teka lang, is everyone thinking like me? So I called up a few friends. I, read a few pieces of the analysts that I read up on, and just take in that data and build your strategy. So in fact, when that was correcting, medyo na-tame down lang yung aking tendency to buy. Kumbaga, instead of buying more, I was, buying a little bit more conservative nga with the view na babagsak pa yung market. So, sa akin yun, wag lang magpadala dun sa mentality of na ghost month, ayoko na niyan. Yung parang kinansela mo na yung August or yung parang tinatawag nilang sell in May and go away. Meron din ganung mga saying, di ba? So ako, I always look at the data. I look at the stocks that I wanted to participate in for the longest time, kung mura ba sila o hindi. And then that's when I accumulate.
Ayan, maraming salamat sa tips, Sir Ed. How about you, Kiko?
Oh, guys, tandaan nyo, yung mga sinabi niyo pa a while ago, sobrang solid. Guys, tandaan nyo kung saan nanggaling si Oped. Nandyan yung mga magagaling na fund managers at yung mga kakilala kong trader. Okay? Ayoko muna i-broadcast kalaban. Pero makinig kayo dyan, kumbaga, yun, Gandalf namin yun eh. Anyways, okay, so, yeah, regarding sa contrarian strategy, guys, teka, raise hands nga dito yung mga umattend nung outlook natin, August 7, August 6. Nung technical outlook, yun.
Nag-raise ng hands yan.
Yan, yun.
Madami-dami.
Yun, hello, hi guys. Okay,
pwede ba
so share ko lang yung screen.
Sorry.
Roll call no? Sige pa yun, yun. Habang mag-share lang ng screen. Yun.
Hindi, inaano ko lang yung mga fan greets. Hello pala kay Jimboy Cruz from Finma University of Pangasinan.
Good evening. Hi sir, good evening.
Hello
Good evening, sir. Okay. So, share ko lang to screen ko yun a bit. Okay,
Sige.
saglit.
Sige, Ops.
Okay, testing. Ayan, yan.
Yun, ako.
Okay. So, ito. Yung highlight natin ng August month 2021. No? So, ito yung pinresent ko ng August 6. No? So, kung titingnan natin historically, ito yung mga ghost month na season. Okay? So, nakikita nyo, nagkakaroon talaga ng opportunity sa chart. Dumadating yung time na nagko-correct ang market, nandyan yung takutan, nandyan yung times na possible, maging emotional tayo. Pero when you look in the medium to long term, you become passive, diba? Pagka chupitero ka rin, you're looking for some bounce play, swing play. Ayan, nandiyan, meron talagang opportunity. So, iyan isa sa mga hinighlight natin last August 6, no? So, merong opportunity talaga sa ghost month. Okay? Then, ano yung game plan natin, di ba? Ito yung isinabi natin, no? For medium to long-term investors, cost averaging method, buy sa support. Sa mga short-term traders, mag-focus tayo sa alpha, kung sino yung mga uptrend, dun tayo mag-focus, dun tayo bibili. You can buy on support zones, sa swing objective. Pwede din kayo mag-momentum trade, buy on breakout, no? And what to expect, di ba? Sabi natin, may volatility, possible, less volume. Nandiyan yung Delta variant, nangyari nga, no? Nagkaroon ng correction, nagtakutan, nagkaroon ng lockdowns, no? Nagkaroon ng mga basura season, yung basura stocks na mga gumalaw, no? Merong tech warrants, no? Pansin niyo, gumalaw yung tech warrants, nag-list, no? Pero look on this side. Long and medium-term investors will take this opportunity to accumulate via cost averaging method on selected blue chip stocks. So, yan yung sinasabi a while ago ni Opa Ed na tingnan niyo yung data. Bakit tayo magpapaka-future driven, mag-expect tayo na kung ano-ano? Focus tayo sa present. Kung makakakita tayo ng opportunity, bumili tayo, di ba? Hindi naman kailangan na panic buying, di ba? Tingnan natin kung nakita natin nasa support level na yung stock. Alam natin fundamentally cheap na siya. Di ba? Sinasabi ni Opa Justin, yung mga earnings forecast, UTrade on target, yung mga nire-recommend ni UTrade na mga fundamentally cheap stocks, alam nating profitable, di ba? Lumalaban sa pandemic, no? So, gusto ko lang i-highlight itong ni-recommend natin, no? Yung alpha outliers, no? ALLHC, Wilcon, Converge, Pure Gold, Century, Pacific, Globe, FBSCC. So, ito yung naging month-to-date performance nila, no? Looking at the monthly chart, no? So, yan, nagkaroon ng mga outliers talaga ngayong August. So, yun yung sinasabi nga natin, mayroong outliers pa rin na mangyayari sa short-term wise. Doon kayo mag-focus outliers, di ba? Ito na, nangyari, Converge. Up siya for this month, 37%. Ito, yung Globe. Ayan, yan ang alpha natin for in the past few days lang, no? Up siya 53%, no? So, yun yung papakita ko nga today na mayroong opportunities, no? And siyempre, meron din, sometimes nagkakamali rin tayo. There are some stocks na possible may downturn din. Nickel Asia, di ba? Nag-down 9%. Si San Miguel Pure Foods down 5%. Si Pure Gold naging flat, pero I still like the trend of Pure Gold, no? So, ito lang yung masabi ko nga na investing strategies talaga is focus sa game plan ninyo, focus on your own game plan. Wag kung ano yung makikita nyo sa mga social media posts. Iba pa rin may sarili kayong game plan. It pays to be contrarian, no? Pag alam yung, sabi nga ni Opa di ba, in the past few months natin, di ba, sabi nga niya, buy when there's blood on the streets. Nandiyan yung mantra natin. So, samantalayin nyo, pag lahat takot, tingnan nyo kung may opportunities, hindi yung susunod tayo sa herd na ayoko na, suko na ako sa market. Cut na lang, cut. Then, always diversify. No? Merong stocks, meron tayong mutual fund. Nandyan sa UTrade account natin. Kitang-kita nyo agad. Kung gusto nyo mag-mutual fund, gusto nyo bumili ng stocks, ng REITs, di ba? Ito, yun. It pays to be contrarian, develop your own trading game plan. So may real-time application tayo. No? So, ayan. So, with the permission of some of my clients, so ayan. So, performance-wise, yeah, they perform pretty well, no? So may particularly ASEN, nag-hold pa rin siya, di ba? Nakabili kasi ito below 3 pesos, so long term na siya diyan. Then ito, naging yung ALLHC, lumipad din siya. Converge, bumili kami ng Converge, no? Up na 20%. So, it pays to be contrarian, focus on the present, focus on what the market is telling us, what the data is telling us. So, napaka-importante yan. And makinig din tayo dun sa mga on-target ni UTrade. Kasi nandyan yung mga, makikita natin yung mga may value na stocks yun, kasi na mga recommendation sila Opa Justin, di ba? Yung team niya. So,
yan ang staple ko, Paps. Yung on target na yan.
On target yun eh. Saka guys, for the first time din this year, nag-match yung Globe recommendation namin. As early as July, nag-recommend tayo, Globe, no? Bili. Accumulate. Then, on target, sabi din nila, buy Globe, di ba? Nag-meet ang technicals, fundamentals, nagkaroon ng equilibrium. Look what happened, up 50%.
The planets aligned, Opa.
Nagkaroon ng, yan yung, kasi di ba, I'm a techno-fundamentalist eh. Hindi, ayoko kasi i-focus lang lahat sa charts eh. Gusto ko, nagbabasa rin ako ng fundamentals, ng economic news. Siyempre kasi MA Economics ako, so yun ang natapos kong course, no? So maganda pag mix niyo lahat, wag kayong masyadong mag-focus sa isang discipline lang, no? So yun. So thank you. Opa Justin, ka naman. Ang mga reco mo solid.
Let's hear from Justin.
Sige. Kala ko sa teleserye lang yung mangyayaring nag-a-align yung funda tsaka techni, no? So anyway, I'll just share my screen, no?
Sige, before Justin share screen, meron tayo ditong pa-shoutout daw po kay Mr. Jerry Imperial watching from Quezon Province. Magandang gabi po.
Sir Jerry. Good evening po.
Ayos, nasa region 4 na tayo.
Ayan. Okay, ayan.
So, eto, for the first time na sa webinar natin, one slide lang tayo on the funda part. Walang charts, more on words lang. And as Rika questioned, no, yung outlook for September, since we were proved wrong na we should have been defensive during August month or Ghost month, but again, market is up 8% in August. That's for the index. So the move for September, maybe we can start accumulating or shifting back to growth stocks or yung mga stocks na makikitaan natin ng potential on the further reopening of the economy. Because I think IATF and the government is pushing for granular lockdowns instead of larger bubbles. Instead of NCR plus 8, plus 4. I think it's really better if yung mga barangay or community na sobrang hotspot for COVID na lang yung i-decide nila to lockdown so that the economy would no longer suffer. So ito, just to recap, for August, data was released about 2Q GDP. So coming from one of the sharpest drop in history, no, nung about 17% contraction, 2Q came in at 11.8%. So this is even faster than the forecast of most economists na around 9 to 10%. But our economic managers also decided to cut down their growth prospects for the year to around 4 to 5%. So they played a catch up actually kasi sila ADB, S&P, Fitch, and Moody's, World Bank, nauna na sila mag-cut eh. Ang forecast na nila is around 4.5 to 5.9%. Kaya they also factored in na yung impact ng ECQ back in during the start of the month. And for inflation naman, good news is bumababa na at 4%. But ang average pa rin natin is still at around 4.4%. But this is driven by transport costs and higher oil prices. So ngayon, ang positioning natin is on the stocks that would also benefit from better prospects or that would benefit from cheaper inflation. For some government data, remittances, 6-month high at 2.6 billion. Again, this is one of the economic drivers natin. We still rely from the remittances of our OFs. And we know naman that other developed countries, they reopen faster, such as US, Europe. Kung nanonood kayo ng sports, sporting events are back, such as NBA, football. Although Olympics, they did not allow crowd or audience, we can see that those countries have really progressed not from strict lockdown measures, and which trickle down to better remittances figures. And for foreign trade naman, ito medyo alarming to nung simula because China, the Ningbo port in China, they closed down for 2 weeks starting beginning in August because of Delta variant. So they had to tighten their measures. Though Ningbo is one of the biggest ports in the world, so one of the main arteries in terms of foreign trade. And we know also as well that meron ng shortage in semiconductors and microchips, so that also impedes the recovery in global trade. So we also have to monitor the development of those things. And moving now to PSCI, so coming from around 7 to 9% decline from the past month, so we're only down by 5.7%. And as we mentioned earlier, binubuhat ng services sector yung index, no? We have Globe and Smart, and the newcomer, si Converge. I think Converge also up 5% for the week, si Globe 30%, and si Tel up 17%. So that's really good, noting that we're seeing those big names gaining by double digits. And also on the positive note, yung faster vaccination. We already have about 30 million jabs administered, and ang daily average na natin is around 430,000, which is really good. But with 31 million jabs, we're still short. I think ang full dose doon is about 13 million. So we're still way behind the 75 million target for the herd immunity by target of end of year. And on the fundamental side, ang positive sectors that we think are still telco, consumer, power, and cement. More on the reopening story of the economy. And for stock picks, so similar, some of our stock picks are similar with Usapang Kiko. So we have Pure Gold, BPI, and Tel on the telco sector. Also for cement, Eagle, and for power, Aboitiz Power. And even for property, Mega World, lalo na in the next few months, they will also list their REITs, si Mega World REIT. And last but not the least, I want to highlight yung upcoming IPOs or REITs, no? So although naglist na si PhilREIT, when you say REITs kasi as an investor, you're aiming for the dividend yield. So although mataas yung dividend yield ni PhilREIT, stock price is up about 3% currently for the past few trading days niya. And si RLC, it will raise about 23.5 billion, priced at 6.45 pesos per share. So what I want to stress sa mga REITs is that ang yields kasi nitong mga to nasa 5 to 6%. And if you look into the country's inflation, it averages about 4.4%. So if you want to preserve your capital against inflation, panalo ka na sa REITs. And the good thing is, REITs are listed. You don't have to go to a bank. For example, if gusto mo mag-avail ng bonds, pupunta ka pa ng branch. Dito, it is listed in the stock exchange. If may account ka na with us, you can just type in the code and purchase your shares. And if you want to avail via IPO, wala pang selling or buying commission. And then it is mataas kasi yung demand for REITs. For example, some companies have listed already, si A-REIT, si DDMP, and then si PhilREIT. They raised at least 15 billion, and all those issues are oversubscribed. So imagine yung lakas ng demand for this asset class. And going forward, aside from dividend yield, meron ding modest share price appreciation. So it's a win-win for investors. So yung mga next REIT offering, tutukan nyo rin yun. Could be a very good option for our investors.
Ayan, maraming
I
salamat,
think just to add to that, Justin, yung nabanggit mo about REITs, I think yung mga normal investors hindi lang na-appreciate what it is. So there are instances wherein they think that they can trade REITs, especially during IPO. So kami ni Usapang Kiko yung tipong bumibili pag binebenta niyo yung REITs. Kasi tumataas ang yield. Like dun sa REIT noon, tsaka dyan sa DDMP REIT. So just about appreciating what that particular product is for. Tapos, Justin, ma-ask lang kita, no? You mentioned kanina yung stocks that will benefit from lower inflation. And hindi ba the banking industry will be beneficial? I also noticed that you have BPI there. But kamusta ba yung banking stocks?
For banks, we're still neutral na because when the country is under ECQ, data from NEDA showed that the economy loses around 144 billion pesos per week of
Oh.
ECQ in the capital. And
Bigas.
imagine those economic losses. People would rather preserve their money rather than spend. And also for banks, on the retail side, people aren't really borrowing, or either the banks are even stringent in terms of credit activity. So medyo strict sila and selective in handing out loans. And on the corporate side naman, not all companies are quite bullish on their expansion plans. So for example, we have their top corporate clients, ang initial capex projection nila for the year is, let's say, 20 billion. So they would finance half of those through through credit lines, so 10 billion. But of course, nagkaroon ng ECQ, MECQ, they scaled down their capex plan to, let's say, 10 billion. So maybe 5 billion na lang yung kailangan nila. So it reflects on the credit activity of the banks.
Okay.
Ayan. May question din ako, Justin, since you've mentioned REITs, win-win tayo dyan. Ayan. Baka kasi marami din nagtatanong, yung mga holders ng DDMP REIT ay nagtataka, bakit baksak pa rin siya hanggang ngayon? Which is, other REITs or other companies na listed sa Philippine Stock Exchange ay mataas and maganda yung kanilang performance. Pero bakit yung DDMPR is still baksak pa rin?
Well, part of those could be a sentiment na yung tenants ni DDMPR are mostly BPOs catering to online gaming platforms. And we know that there are still pronouncements against POGOs that there could be some crackdown again once they decide to operate. Or another thing is that POGOs are really leaving now, shifting to other countries na medyo walang regulatory risks. But of course, if the economy further reopens, yung vacancy naman on their office buildings could be replaced by your traditional companies, your local BPOs. So investors shouldn't really be concerned about DDMPR's price going down. And when price goes down naman by that, ang isipin mo, if long-term investor ka, gumaganda yung yield as time goes by.
Tama. Ayan. Nasagot na ang aking tanong. Maraming salamat, Justin. And I think, ayun, okay tayo sa mga tips and advice ng ating mga expert. Kaya let's talk about naman yung mga experiences nila. So, ano yung mga na-experience ninyo? Let's start from Mr. Edmund Martinez. Ayan.
Na-experience saan?
During the Ghost Month, sir. Naging ano ka ba? Parang nagbenta ka ba or something? Bumili ka
Currently,
ba?
ako talaga, I view Ghost Month as an opportunity. In fact, dun sa pinapakita ni Opa Kiko na charts, no? I think isa sa mga years na yon na bili ko yung gustong-gusto kong carbon bike eh. So,
Wow.
talagang maano sa aking alaala yung mga Ghost Month because nga, it's an unfortunate time that, the markets are weak, and then it's a chance for you to really buy yung mga companies that you wanted to participate in. Then during the Santa Claus rally, you get to also sell some, no? But during this particular Ghost Month, gaya nga ng nasabi ko kanina, I wasn't able to buy as much as I wanted to. I actually tried to diversify outside of the Philippines. I think there's one fund that we have, which I started buying around 6 months ago, yung ating Atram Unicapital Diversified Growth Fund. So
Nice.
I think napag-usapan natin nung outlook yun. But even prior to that, I was trying to accumulate na that particular stock. Kasi I think if you take a look at the stock market in the past 5 years, if you're not cost averaging, if you're not timing the market properly, hence, if you're a long-term, very, very long-term investor that you're holding on to your stocks, parang wala ka masyadong kikitain because more or less the market just moved in a very wide range, So, and also I think one of the slides there was really yung pinapakita yung iba't ibang markets, di ba? And I always thought before na it's really inaccessible to us because medyo conservative yung ating government, our financial system is quite closed pa. And I was surprised that it was really that easy to participate in a fund that allows you to buy tech companies, allows you to buy consumer companies in Europe. I mean, while their vaccination rates are now higher, we expect their consumer markets to be a bit more active and it's also expected to recover faster. I think last year nga meron pang gold yan eh. Di ba? Nung medyo kakaroon ng pagtaas ng case counts in the US, global investors were hedging against the movements of the US dollar. Yung gold medyo nag-rally. So I think that fund also captures it. And if I remember correctly, last year, that was the best performing best performing balance fund in the Philippines. Because of its ability to get global exposure. And yun, I think that's one of the funds that I started buying on yung telco, medyo na-miss ko ng konti yan kasi nga, I think one of the things din na I warn people about, yung preconceived notions about a particular stock or industry, dapat you always are ready to change your mind if you see the data telling you otherwise. So, di ba, for the longest time, telco, we've been saying the entrant of another competitor, di ba, will kind of compress their margins, there will be higher competition. So parang it was stuck in my mind. So when I was choosing stocks, tinatanggal ko na yung dito, yung Glo, tsaka yung Tel. Diba? So sabi ko in my short purview, diba, I wasn't able to capitalize. But yun, so during this Ghost month, I wasn't able to buy as much as I wanted to, although I was able to diversify my investments globally through that particular fund.
Ayan. Thank you so much for sharing, Sir Ed. How about you, Kiko? What do you usually do pagka Ghost month? Or may mga pagbabago ka bang ginawa since dumating yung Delta variant?
Yun. So, during Ghost month, okay. So, bago ko tayo mag-focus sa present, share ko muna yung mga past experience ko para matuto rin tayo. So, during Ghost month kasi dumarating yung time na nagiging aggressive ako when in fact the market is telling me na you shouldn't be. Okay? So, dyan pumapasok yung overtrading, focus ka sa basura stocks. To the point na matatalo ka sa basura stocks. Tapos, kinabukasan, sasabihin mo sa sarili mo, kailangan kong mabawi ito. Natalo ka na naman ulit. Then, that's it. Naging overtrading ka na. Then, sa buong month na yun, negative ka, down ka pa. So, yun yung isa sa mga mistakes ko in the past few years, no? Nagpo-force ako ng trade wherein dapat dahan-dahan lang. Baga, yung risk management mo ay hindi mo pinapractice mabuti. So, yun yung isa sa mga matututunan nyo pag ganitong volatile ang market. So, it's all about risk management, di ba? Yung position sizing mo, mag-all in ka ba? Pag alam mong may delta variant, nag-correct ang index, di ba? And dumarating din yung time dyan na yun ang matututunan ninyo talaga, no? So, wag kayo magpo-force ng trades. Pag alam yung the market is telling you magpahinga muna, okay, mag-rest muna. Okay, and regroup. Okay, lalo na sa mga basura stocks at third liners, no? Diyan kayo mag-iingat. Okay? Then focus naman tayo ngayon sa present, no? Yung present na ngayon, ang ginawa ko talaga, nag-focus tayo sa outliers, diba? So, yun yung natutunan ko talaga this month, no? So, nag-work out na yung outliers natin, yung mga ni-recommend natin noong August 6, no? Sa mga nakinig, no? Sa mga nanood, no? So, congratulations, no? Sa mga nag-follow sa Globe, sa Converge, no? So, ALLHC, sila talaga yung mga naging outliers, no? Kasi, ang tinuro sa atin to this month ng market, I think, kasi talagang, di ba, alam natin, tinalo niya expectations. Lahat tayo na-expect na possible mag-correct or maging downtrend, no? I think the market taught us this month is all about how it will adapt with the virus, how it will live with the virus. I think yun yung naging moral lesson ko for this month na reflect ko. 'Di ba? Alam natin na okay, nandiyan yung virus magiging forever na yan Darating yung time pagka naka-invent na ng mga gamot sa COVID na parang antibiotic na lang, magiging parang trangkaso na lang COVID. I think that's what is the market is telling us in the past few days. Kumbaga darating yung time na matatanggap ko na yan kasi COVID is forever na hindi na mawawala yan So kaya mag-focus kayo kung ano yung mga industry na magse-survive sa COVID, magiging resilient. Nandiyan yung telco, construction, diba? Telco, ba't lumakas ang globe ngayon? Because it's not about yung telco perspective, it's all about yung GCash niya Kasi they believe yung GCash talaga, ito yung next meta. Ito yung number 1 na digital wallet ngayon, di ba? Nandiyan yung online payments, di ba? And naging profitable na raw siya after a few years. So yun yung nagpasipa sa globe today. Then ano pa napansin niyo, ba't lumipad ang globe? Blue chip yan, ang bigat niyan. Foreign buying. Yan ang hinihintay natin sa market. Pag bumalik ang foreign buying, hopefully nakaipon na tayo. Para sitting pretty na lang tayo, hinihintay na lang natin yung mga hit, yung mga take profit natin. Para tayo si Sir Edna, makakabili tayo ng bike. Kumbaga, meron na kayong, kumbaga yung, may pamasko na tayo. Kumbaga, ito yung chance nyo. You have the next 3 to 4 months to accumulate. Then masaya tayo sa Pasko, Santa Claus Rally, January effect. Hanggang election fever, tuloy-tuloy may chance tayo pagka naka-develop ng herd immunity, pag na-vaccinate na tong NCR, alam natin So nandiyan yung mga bakuna, parating na rin naman siya. Kaya mag-register na rin kayo okay? Huwag kayo dun sa mga mga expert na nagsasabi kasi ang dami ngayon ng mga nega sa vaccine So makinig tayo sa World Health Organization, sa experts Huwag din sa Facebook analysis Parang stock market lang yan. Okay? Huwag kayong magano sa mga Facebook analysis sa vaccine. Makinig tayo sa experts, sa doktor nyo. Okay? So, yun natutunan ko sa Ghost Month na to. So, may outliers. Huwag kayo matakot. Be contrarian. Okay? And focus kayo kung dun sa mga sinasabi ng chart na healthy and fundamentally sound as well. Nandiyan on target. Di ba? Nandiyan yung mga recommendations natin. So, yan. Thank you. Papa Justin, ka naman.
Oo nga.
Yes.
Salamat, Kiko. Yes,
for August, since earnings came out then and medyo yo-yo yung yung swing ng earnings kung titingnan nyo from 2020, it dropped to dismal yung results and for this year naman malaki rin yung angat because of low base effects. But ang titingnan nyo kasi ngayon for companies that reported their earnings is how they shifted or they adjusted from the impact of the pandemic. So yung mga restaurants ngayon, they're booking net income, although medyo mababa lang because they realigned their business trend. So if they used to get 60 to 70% of their total revenues from dine-in, ngayon wala naman sila magagawa since ECQ, dine-in is not allowed, for MECQ, not allowed as well. Hindi naman sila maghihintay na mag-GCQ before they makakuha ulit silang revenues for dine-in. So what they did is they revitalized their carry-out operations. So yung mga delivery and take-out orders, and they also partnered with food aggregators, yung mga GrabFood, Foodpanda. And also for banks, may catch-up na nangyayari because as Kiko mentioned, the next meta is GCash. Now for banks naman, they are also into the digital space as well. Although some banks are leaning towards launching their own digital banks. For digital bank kasi, you have to apply a new license from the BSP, and currently the BSP will only allow 7 digital banks to operate kasi you have to monitor the competition and the capacity of those digital banks to provide service. Kasi pag sinabi mong digital banks, separate yan from GCash kasi si GCash payment service lang yan Digital banks is mainly just like an ordinary bank na walang branch. So you can deposit, you can loan, you can invest, pero wala yung physical structure. Kaya, and you know naman that banks are quite essential, are really essential in the economy because if banks do fail, makikita mo na babagsakin yung buong economy. So ayun, for other sectors naman, since we're seeing some economic activity, although still muted from pre-pandemic. You also need to look out for those. Yun nga, yung construction. I think yung past ECQs compared sa unang ECQ, they allow construction activities. So this is really positive for property sectors and also for the contractors. And I think may question dito yung DMC. So maybe that's one reason why DMC share price is trending up because of the resumption in construction activities and also because of the better performance of its unit, yung Semirara. Because I'm not quite sure, pero I think coal prices are still trending upwards, which benefits Semirara and DMC.
Ayan. Okay, maraming salamat, Justin. Again, I think we can now hear from our viewers. Actually, ang daming interesting questions from them. And let's have a couple of questions here. I think this is for Justin. Since you have mentioned about telco stocks, what's your insight about Dito and Now?
Okay, for Dito kasi, we know that they can't go toe-to-toe yet with the big two players. So ang focus nila ngayon is rollout and building up towers and building up their subscriber base. Then going forward, I think in the next 5 years, ang target na nila is how to preserve their margins. So we expect dito to register double-digit growth for the meantime. But once ma-attain na nila yung, or once they hit on a regular basis yung target subscribers nila, of course, may mangyari dyan, may cannibalization meaning yung ibang subscribers ng Tel and Globe, they would shift to Dito, and once ma-prove naman nila na, uy, mas okay pala sa Dito, okay yung service, mas consistent, so you can see that yung subscriber base nila, it would grow consistently. It would also reflect sa revenues nila and net income. And yun nga, magiging okay yung margins until they attain a sustainable level. Then for Now Corp naman, I think they incurred lower net income during the second quarter. But a good thing is, yung main product kasi nila is yung fiber in the air. So since a lot of people are still working from home and their jobs demand high-speed internet, and we know the potential of fiber. So I think if mas mataas yung take-up or yung demand for fiber, it would also reflect sa performance ni Now.
Okay, ayan. Maraming salamat, Justin. Next question from Miss Leslie. Any insights po kung bakit nag-drop ang ating LTG? I think, Kiko, do you want to answer?
Sige. O, LTG. So, sige.
LT Group, pare.
LT Group, no?
Oh.
I think, in the past few sessions natin, Rika, and especially dun sa mga sessions on advanced and basic technicals, I think natatanong ditong LTG, no? So, I think ito yung major problem kasi kay LTG. I know lahat kayo nag-hunt ngayon kung kailan magbo-bottom tong si LTG. Actually, I'm also among those Kasi isa na lang yung isa sa mga underperforming na blue chips, no? So, I think na-hurt to. O pa Justin, confirm mo later kung dahil siguro dun sa PAL, no? I think medyo na-hurt siya dahil dun sa PAL Pero yeah, abangan natin yung sagot mamaya ni Opa Justin. So, ngayon, mag-focus muna tayo chart-wise, no? So, as long as, ayan, sabi ko nga, normally pag naghahanap ako ng reversal plays, hinihintay ko itong blue line, which is the 50-day moving average. Gusto ko babalik siya above or mag-i-stay na siya dyan above 50-day moving average. No? So ngayon, kitang-kita natin, downtrend siya. Plus yung mga moving average natin, kitang-kita rin, downtrend. No? So I hope mag-hold tong 891 and 880 levels. So, kung mag-hold yan, hopefully, nandyan na yung range niya ngayon. Hopefully, ito na yung range niya, no? 880 hanggang 956. No? So, yan muna yung may papayo ko sa LTG. So, mukhang may range trade tayo nakikita. Ito lang muna. Ano ba yung bottom na support dito? 890. So, itong 890, sorry. 890 support and resistance natin. Sabihin na natin ito, 940. So yan yung potential na range niya ngayon. So pwede nyo i-trade, no? Short-term trading tayo dyan. And gusto ko dapat mag-hold to above 10 pesos ang i-test tong 50-day MA natin, 1080 levels para ma-confirm natin yung bottom. Otherwise kasi pag nag-break pa tong 890 support, ano na yung mga next na support zones natin? Tingnan natin tong mga August 2020. Ayan, 8 pesos, 820, 850. So, siguro bantay-bantay muna. The market will tell us kung kailan ang bottom yan. Kahit ako, hindi ko siya mape-predict. Kaya mas maganda, i-monitor nyo, yung data-driven tayo, just like what Opa Ed is telling us a while ago. Hindi nyo kailangan maging Rudy Baldwin sa market. It's all about, babantayan nyo lang yung present, kung ano yung meron data. Diba? Marirecall nyo yung mga advanced technical analyst students ko, no? Advanced technicals natin na sessions, no? Sabi ko nga, itong mga chart formation na tinuturo ko, it's not about telling you na kayo yung magiging next Rudy Baldwin. Babantayan nyo pa rin kung ano yung reaction ng market, kung tama tayo o hindi. So, yun na may papayo ko sa LTG. So, monitor lang natin talaga kung may short-term na bounce play na sa kanya. Pero sa ngayon, kung ano yung sinasabi sa atin ni market, so mukhang may pagka-downtrend pa kasi no? Bear flag yung mga formation niya eh. Bearish flag, no? So, dapat mag-hold na to above 10 para pwedeng lumaban ulit. So that's LTG for me, no? O pa Justin, care to add, no? Kung meron pa.
Yeah, for LTG, to correct you kicks, no, hindi nakabook si PAL kay LTG. So
Okay.
component lang ni LTG is
Macro.
si tobacco, si PMFTC, tobacco, then we have Asia Brewery, Tanduay, then si PNB and si Eton for its property group.
So ba't bumabagsak o pa?
Ba't bumabagsak?
Yeah, what I'm thinking is that of course excise taxes are going up each year, both for tobacco and for distilled spirits. So the trend starting last year is yung distilled spirits, malakas yung demand eh. They can really pass on the prices of pass on higher excise taxes by raising prices. And even their competitors, if makikita mo yung results ni San Miguel Food and Beverage, malakas record level yung demand kay GSMI and also for Emperador. So I think a lot of people are really drinking hard liquor no during lockdown. Compared to beer kasi na you have to order it in establishments such as restaurant, and with those closed, mahina yung demand, mahina yung sales. So for going back to LTG, that's one thing. Maybe they medyo humina yung sales ngayon since coming from a high base, both for tobacco and their Tanduay products, and also for their banking unit. Yung PNB medyo humihina rin yung earnings kasi they continue to book higher provisions for loan losses. Whereas last year yung mga big banks yung nag-book ng at least 25 to 40 billion, yung big three, si BDO, Metrobank, BPI. Ngayon yung mga mid-sized banks nagbo-book pa rin sila ng provisions for loan losses at quite a high level.
Grabe, no? Meron pa rin pala until this year. Matindi talaga.
Pero kung ma-share ko lang dun sa ating the smart bull, this is also based on the valuations of many analysts. Parang ang consensus is that it's already cheap based on their fair values, and then mukhang may growth naman for the company. Although yun nga, yung kanyang performance of the stock is really terrible. No? In the past 6 months, it's almost a third of value lost. And I think based on indicators, there's also unusual outflows, as well as yung downtrend niya is quite forceful as well. So ako, if I were you, if you're trying to consider this, I guess you just wait for the yung mga indicators of reversal kasi it's hard to catch a falling knife like this one.
Yeah.
Ayan. Okay, maraming salamat, experts. Next question about REIT. Is dividend yield same with dividend given to common stocks, like with X date or record date? Justin?
Yes, similar to common stocks.
Okay.
Pero it's a function really of how much you bought it. Tama ba? Hindi ano. Kasi kunyari, nabili mo ng mura, then the expected yield for you will be higher.
Yes.
But that's different from dividend yield, no? Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much. Next question. We will see the index reach at 7,000 as early as September. Possible daw ba yun? What's the year-end projection for PSEI?
Ako, Justin, mukhang ikaw ulit yan.
Actually, for our target, we're keeping our base at 7,680 on the back of 32% growth in EPS or earnings per share. But I think for the month of September, baka si Kix could give a better trajectory or projection based on chart.
Okay.
Alright. Sige, balikan natin yung chart while ago, no? So, I think ito yung short-term range na nakikita ko ngayon. So, gladly, we're back at the neutral zone. So, when we're in the neutral zone, so if you're watching yung last month na session natin on sa outlook for the second half of the year, no? Sabi nga natin, pag nasa neutral zone, ito na yung gusto ko na pwede tayo mag-accumulate, no? So, pwede kayo mag-accumulate because we are anticipating ito yung magiging move ng market ngayong September. Just like what it did last year. So, may volatility, however, may range may range opportunity na magkakaroon ng support zones pa rin. Doon tayo bibili, parang ginawa nito, no? So, this was September, sorry. Ito yung September performance last year, no? Ito yung September performance last year. Yan. Okay. So, kung maggaganito tayo, magre-range, no? So, at assuming mag-hold tong 6.6, gusto ko kasi mag-hold tong 6.6 because ito yung value moves na ina-anticipate ko pag mag-hold tong 6.6. I-retest natin tong 6.9 ngayong September. And pag nag-breakout tayo above 6.9, yeah, if you're asking about 7,000, yes, the answer is yes. There's a possibility. However, nandiyan yung mga strong resistance. May mga strong resistance zones tayo dyan. Expect nyo yan. Kasi maraming naipit dyan noong June, July. Expect nyo. Paano natin makikita? Welcome to the volume profile range indicator. So this is what I do para malaman kung nasaan yung mga naipit at saan yung ito yung mga malaking volume. Ito yung mga heavy volume noong June, July. So pag na-break natin to, saka pa lang possible mag 7,000, 7,1, 7,2. So the market will have a very big test September para i-test tong 6,900 to 7,000 levels. Nandiyan yung mga naipit dito, yung mga nagbilihan nung June, July. So, yan yung na-anticipate ko. Okay, hindi to shooting star na rocket ship na diretso agad to the moon. Okay, magre-range muna yan, 6.6, 6.9. Then pag nag-hold tayo above 6.9, magre-range na naman yan. 6.9 na support natin, ang resistance 7,064 or itong 7.1. Okay, so how I see it towards the end of the year, I think there's a possibility test natin itong 7.4. 7.4 to 7.8, no? Go 7.4 to 7.8 ang forecast ko. And hopefully, baka kaya rin itong 8,000. So, abangan natin yan, fourth quarter. I think fourth quarter will tell us, basta mag-hold tayo above 6.9. I think we're on course. Same kami ni Opa Justin ang target. Maybe 7.4, 7.6, 7.8. So, ito na guys mag-mimit na naman ng technique sa Afunda. Just like what happened sa Globe. Diba? So, abangan nyo guys pag nagkaroon ng mga panic sessions again, takutan na naman sa COVID. Mabilis ang swing ng market makakabili kayo talaga in one day talaga, makakabili kayo pag nagpanic sila. Lalo na yung mga forced closing, pagka last 10 minutes ng trading, magpapanik yung mga foreign, mga fundy, sell down. Yan, makakabili kayo. I think makakaabang kayo dun. So yan yung mga scenario na gusto namin ni Opa Ed. Pagka nagtatakotan na, uy, pengi, nakaabang kami ganyan. Diba? So, kung may kontraryan kayo guys, kontraryan tayo kasi, kumbaga, yung mga big banks, yung mga fundies, mga godzilla, let them fight tayo. Nanonood lang tayo, naka-sniper
Nakaabang.
mode tayo, nakaabang
Oo.
tayo. Okay? Hayaan mo maglaban yung mga foreign, yung mga local, yung mga fundies diyan. Kasi retail tayo, ang focus natin is manonood lang tayo habang nagbo-boxing sila. Pag may natalo, dun tayo mag-aabang ng mga binugbog nilang stock. So, thank you.
And thank you so much, Kiko. How about you, Sir Ed? Do you have anything to...
Na sumasagot ako dun sa mga nagchat-chat sa atin, yung mga ibang mga tanong.
Yes.
So,
may
busy tayo
questions pala.
nakikipag-chat sa ating mga viewers just to
Ayan.
expand on some of the answers.
Ay, magandang gabi po ulit. I think we can entertain last 2 more questions. Is it okay? Okay, ayan. Okay, so for fruit, is it began to bullish now? Kiko?
Nako, hindi ba medyo yan, pare? Walang mall di ba? Puro
Yun yung prutas,
stands
no?
yan sa mall.
Yeah. Later on, abangan natin yung comment ni Opa Justin regarding sa mall, no, kung nakaka-price in na ba sila sa low base effect. Kasi tandaan nyo yung forecast ni Justin during the first quarter of the year. Di ba meron tayong outlook nun? So sabi nga na magkakaroon ng mga low base effect na beneficiaries, no? So ito na yun, nangyayari na. First yung GDP natin, yung mga companies, no? So abangan natin yung comment na later on sa prutas. Okay. Pero tingnan mo natin yung chart ng fruit, no? So while ago, chinecheck ko rin siya. Yan. So
Downtrend,
how do you
pare
see
ko,
it? Downtrend pa rin. Okay, downtrend pa rin siya. Okay, however, bantayan nyo to. Ito yung interesting dyan.
Yan.
Tinouch niya yung blue line. Okay, it's still too early. Kumbaga neutral siya ngayon. Kumbaga pwede na natin tong i-watch list. Pero it's too early to say na bullish reversal na. Given na kailangan ma-break muna yung downtrend na yan. At I hope mag-hold tong 50-day MA, yung 128, saka itong 124. So assuming mag-hold tong 124, mga previous resistance zones niya na yan. So 123, 124. So tingnan natin, mukhang may potential na reversal play tayo nakikita rito. So ano yung next na resistance target niya? Ito na, mga 130 levels, 133. Okay? So gusto ko mag-hold tong 123. Okay? Critical yan. At mag-hold tong 50-day MA at 128. Okay? Pag nag-hold tong dalawang zone na to, 123, last level natin yan, dapat mag-hold yan. Pwede nyo na i-plot yung Fibonacci projections. Okay? Para malaman natin yung mga target. So, plotting the Fibonacci projections, ito na yung mga next target nyo. 132, 143, 150 levels. Okay? Hanapin natin kung nasaan yung mga naipit, mga ipiteros using the volume profile. Ayan, 140 to 144. Nandyan yung strong resistance. Pag na-break yung 144 na yan, okay? Okay, nag-hold yung 132, 143, na-break tong 144. Ano na yung next target nyo dyan is all about confirming, na mako-confirm yun na yung bullish reversal kasi above 200 DMA na yan, itong black line. Okay, so marami pa itong challenge, parang Mount Everest. Aakyat, kumbaga nasa first base pa lang to eh. So, bantayan nyo to, 123. Pag nag-hold tong 123, pwede nyo na i-watch list yan. Mukhang magko-crawl na yan. Okay, pero sa ngayon, it's too early to say. No? So, kumbaga, ang masasuggest ko, watch list to. Pwede nyo isama to sa watch list. And abangan nyo to sa Smart Bull. No? Pag sa Smart Bull, nag-alert na rin to na may mga reversal confirmation. At abangan nyo rin sa Traders Game Plan. Kaboom tayo, okay? Mukhang may play tayo for the bear months. Thank you.
Ayan, thanks, Kicks. How about you, Justin?
Yeah, regarding frutas, no? They're one of the companies that were able to turn around. So for second quarter, I think net income sila by a huge amount. And we can attribute this they changed their business model. So from kiosks sa mall, they focused more on community stores. So meaning on a single store, they offer their various products. So they also acquired Balay Pandesal. Kung makikita nyo yung Balay Pandesal, wala naman siya sa malls, standalone stores. So for every Balay Pandesal, they can offer their other products, yung coconut products nila, yung soya, or maybe they can also offer Jamaican patty or their fruit shakes. So
Naku,
that's
Paps,
how
nakapivot
they
talaga.
pandemic-proof their business.
Mukhang
Pwede nga
watchlist
to
nga talaga.
Watchlist na to, oh.
Oo.
Fourth quarter play to. Yeah, lalo na pag nag-turn around
Nagbibigay
next
ng
year.
signal.
Pwede to. Bantayan nyo na yan, guys. Ayan, nagkaroon tayo ng bonus for tonight. Ha? Thank you sa prutas.
Ayan, salamat. And before we go on to our last questions, guys, sa mga hindi po namin masasagot, please do send out your questions through our Q&A tab. And rest assured na sasagutin po namin yan via email by next week. Okay. And
Yun.
for our last questions, ask ko lang po kung meron bang blue chip stocks na magde-declare ng dividend ngayong September.
Wow.
Nako,
Meron yan, I think.
isang quick Google search nga.
O
Dividend.
pa Justin yan, no? Meron yan. Meron sila.
Nasa edge na tayo.
Yan, nasa edge na. Yun po. Quick
So
tip.
for September, we have a few. So Seartech, Arthaland, quite illiquid though. Then CBDO and the San Miguel stocks. Pero I think these are the prefs for San Miguel.
Okay. Tandaan natin yun, guys. Ha? Ayan, ha? May cheat list na tayo. Yung mga sinabi sa dividend, sa mga dividend hunter dyan. No?
And also, abangan din nila sa mga nag-aabang sa ating Facebook page. Ayan, nagpo-post po kami ng mga upcoming dividends monthly. Ayan.
Okay.
Okay,
Ay, meron
so,
lang. Alright.
yes, Kiko.
Ito I need yung comment yung tatlo. Rika, Sir Ed, o pa Justin. Kasi di ba the talk of the town natin for this week yung GCash, yung Globe. Alam natin na, lumipad dahil sa GCash. So, we need to find the next GCash eh. Ano, ba? Yung anong stock ang pwede mag-benefit na competitor niya. Okay, yesterday, mayroon akong ka-chat na friend ko rin na analyst. No? Tinatanong ko rin siya na tingin nyo yung BDO Pay ba pwedeng lumaban kay GCash? So, maybe BDO will be the next meta. Di ba? Nakikita nyo, BDO Pay ang dami na sa mga establishment, di ba? So, I need your comments. Wala na kayo pa, Justin, kung ano nakikita nyo dito sa BDO Pay. Kasi, di ba, pwede natin i-recommend din yung BDO pang long term. Kumbaga, kung yan yung next na GCash competitor and Paymaya, di ba? So, tel naman by Paymaya. So, tingnan natin yung mga competitor niya. Only pwede natin i-position trade this quarter saka sa fourth quarter. Thank you. Need your comments.
For BDO Pay, we know how big BDO is in terms of if you look at their services, so and their products, they're the top in terms of assets under management, for deposits, lahat yan rank 1 sila for branches. And for BDO Pay, of course, they have the funds there. They have the digital infrastructure to run that. But during earnings call, management mentioned that they're not leaning towards transforming it into a digital bank. So more on the payment service. And similar to GCash, it would take some time pa to monetize those. Kasi when you do fund transfer naman for GCash, you're not charged as much. And what we know is the convenience that those services provide. But what we don't know is how much cash do those companies spend in maintaining those. Kasi for banks, ang hindi alam ng public is malaki yung yung business as usual costs for the digital infra ng mga banks to maintain those funds. Actually, galing ako sa bank before I transferred to Unicapital, and sa building namin, yung treasury tsaka trust, walang guard yan. Walang guard sa pinto ng department. Magugulat ka sa IT department, andun yung mga guard, may mga guards before you enter the department kasi andun yung andun yung mainframe, andun yung server. So, yung ganong security pa lang, makikita mo na that banks are really investing a lot of money on their digital infra. So what more if they try to innovate by introducing those digital payments na later on, it could also offer other products that we can't imagine. So maybe investments, insurance via mobile app. So there's a lot of potential for those. But the question is, how much do these payment services spend to maintain and to innovate? And also, how do they derive profits going forward? So for now, medyo mahirap pa i-monetize yung mga ganong services. But maybe in the future, hindi natin namamalayan na for each service, may madederive pa lang profits. Or maybe they could hike their services for fund transfer, yung papiso-piso in the next few years. Malaki rin yan. If they're, for GCash, I think they're transacting about 4 trillion during the past year. So yeah, if let's say for every cent, for every 100 peso, there's a few cents that they will charge, it could accumulate to a huge amount going forward.
Okay. Ako, ang 2 cents ko dyan, Ops, is that while it's easy to think that BDO has the network, has the money, has the firepower to really make a difference, but just talking about an example a few years back, nung pinasok nila ang brokerage business through a partnership with BDO. Nomura, di ba? In a few months, pare, they're the #1 broker in terms of number of customers. Pero hindi mo makita sa top 10 or top 20 brokers sa exchange. Bakit? Because, it's really about execution. I think while they were able to have their customers open an account, iba yung execution on training them on how to really trade and go about that market. So ako, I would look for siguro actions that would lead any type of seriousness into that. And also me coming from a few banks before I joined, normally may mga legacy systems yan that they really love. That's the backbone of their businesses. So in my experience, it's not always easy for them to change it or to innovate it or to, turn things around and make a difference. But who knows? Sabi mo nga, long-term din naman tayo dyan, di ba? I just hope that they can use that influence, especially during, kasi of course, yung pinanggalingan din natin before we joined UTrade, si BDO was actually, their strategy is quite different from most Taipans because they're the guys who want to be #1 in everything. So in any industry in the Philippines, they approach the #1 player and tries to buy them. And in fact, dun sa brokerage industry, he also tried to buy. Piling ko na yan, di ba? But of course, naka-negotiate sila ng konti. So that's why they went towards doing it on their own as well. So I hope they can use that aggression, that network, that firepower to make it cheaper for us or easier for us to transact. But I don't think you can innovate GCash even more. It's so convenient already, di ba? Shave ka ng a few nanoseconds out of your transaction. I don't think it will even matter pa.
Gulat pa tayo. Baka mamaya, GCash, pwede na tayo magbayad sa UTrade to GCash, no? Abangan natin yan, Paed, no, Rika?
Ako pa, sa UL, pwede yan.
Abangan natin yan.
Sa US, available yan.
Yun.
Malapit na.
Ayan. Okay, may mga abangan pala tayo.
Oo.
Ayan. Ako naman, Kiko, honestly, it's my first time to hear yung news na yan. Pero before nung pandemic, as in nung nag-start, nakita ko nang bumaba nga si BDO. Pero hindi ako nag-try kunin siya agad. So, let's see. Since na-mention ni Justin yan, baka nga may mga developments or totoo yung news. And yun, abangan natin. No? Hoping din ako na baka maging ganun.
Financials tingnan natin financials. No? A bit laggard sila pero maybe they can capitalize sa recovery.
Ang tagal ko nang inaalagaan yan, pare. Yung video position na yan. Tagal.
So, let's see. Okay, thank you.
Okay, ayan. Maraming salamat po sa ating mga participants who joined us tonight. But before we end this webinar, do you have any last message sa ating mga viewers? Sir Ed, Sir Kiko,
Sige,
and Sir Justin?
Ako na muna mauna sa aking message.
Sure.
I would like to dedicate my last message yung mga tiga Iloilo nanonood sa atin ngayon, no?
Oo,
Si
dami
Mr.
nila.
Nino Casono. Hello po.
Nice.
At yun lang. Sa akin, investing is it's not an easy journey, but of course, that's what makes it fun also, no? You can use many different tools. You can, watch, trainings or the shows that we put up for you guys just to help you make those right decisions. And don't also close your mind into the products that you're already used to, no? Kung medyo stock trader ka noon, baka you can also try to look at the beauty naman of index funds, especially gaya nga ng sinasabi ni Kiko, yung mga day traders medyo nahihirapan, di ba? Or try to diversify outside of the Philippine market, hindi through direct stocks because I think it's going to be difficult to trade the US market since baliktaran, di ba? So, but meron tayong funds that can offer some exposure for you guys. So, it's very exciting. Just, kapit lang, guys.
Ayan. Thank you so much, Sir Ed. Justin.
Yeah, so advice ko lang, no, since we are still under a pandemic and market is really still filled with uncertainties, and andito naman ang buong UTrade team to guide the clients. So if ever may questions, you can easily approach us. And if you're having difficulties to assess where to invest, ayun, we offer, actually there are a lot of asset classes na. So we have equities. You can also invest, as Ed mentioned, yung funds. And kahit medyo challenging yung position ng market, the capital market's still active, so you can see future listings and take advantage of those. As mentioned, aside from lalo na kung conservative ka, because most that will list in the future are leaning towards giving out dividends. That is quite generous. As mentioned, it can beat inflation. Lalo na ngayon, medyo elevated pa rin. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Justin. Kiko.
Ay, gusto ko i-share yung sinabi ko sa mga students ko nung last Saturday, no? So, you will always be a student of this market. And the market will humble each one of us. Wag kayong mag-aim na maging perfect trader, perfect investor, tatalunin ko yung stock market, tatalunin ko yung mga index funds, no? Maging open kayo sa learning, sa change, no? Ako, kahit 10 years na ako sa market, nagkakamali pa rin ako, no?
Yeah.
I accept my mistake. I'm being humbled by the market. Tandaan nyo, the moment na nag-a-assume na kayong magaling, perfect ako, the market will humble you, no? So, dapat you always open for change, new learnings, and treat yung mga setbacks nyo as yan yung improvement process nyo, no? Yung para maging consistent yung profits nyo. Kasi ang isa kasing pagkakamali ng mga trader, investor, gusto nila short term agad, jackpot mindset ako, magiging millionaire agad ako, magiging double your money agad ako. Yan ang isa sa mga mistakes ko during my first 5 years of trading. Mali yung mindset ko na dapat may proseso, magtiwala kayo sa proseso, sa sistema na i-adapt ninyo sa market. Hindi yung ang mindset nyo, gusto ko kumita agad, gusto ko matalo yung bangko, ayoko na magtrabaho, magte-trade na lang ako sa market. Yan kasi yung isa sa mga maling mindset sa stock trading. Nakakalimutan nyo na yung trabaho nyo ngayon. Akala ko magpo-focus ako sa market. Tapos biglang nag-bear market, paano na kayo ngayon? Iniwan nyo yung trabaho nyo, di ba? So, isipin nyo talaga, no, may mga times na matututo tayo, no? So, yun, be open for change, no? And maging humble tayo palagi. Napaka-importante nun kasi mahirap pag ikaw yung hinumble ng market, no? So, thank you.
Ayan, maraming salamat, Kiko, Sir Ed, and Justin. And before we end this webinar, I'd like to take this chance to invite our viewers. Speaking of learnings, tulad ng sinabi ni Kiko, we are inviting you to our upcoming events. Ayan. This is Investing 101 seminar that is perfect for new beginners since maraming ating viewers na nagtatanong how to start. Ayan, how to start my investment. Dito, perfect po ito. At ang ating speaker is our investment advocate, which is si Mr. Edmund Martinez. Marami kayong matututunan dito.
So, yeah, no?
Solid to. Maraming matututunan, lalo na sa mga beginners sa market.
Invite nyo na yung mga
Next
friends
one.
nyo.
Yes, open na to sa ating Facebook page. This one is Techni Talks. Ayan,
Nako,
game
yun ang
plan for
pinupuntahan ko eh.
traders. Ito,
Bago
yan.
habang to.
Bago yan.
Ba?
This is a monthly webinar.
Bago yan. Abangan nyo yan.
Yes.
Rebranded.
This is a
Marami
monthly
kong binago
webinar
dyan.
of Kiko.
Oo.
Ayan. So, register na kayo once na nakita niyo sa aming Facebook page. Click the link to register. So, kita-kits
Abangan
tayo
niyo
sa
yan.
September 10. Okay, next one. This is a real-time webinar, good for 1 hour, wherein si Mr. Kiko ay nag-review ng market in real time and also giving reviews sa stock request ng ating mga viewers. So the live streaming will be posted in our Facebook group, which is UTrade Official Community.
You make it appear so easy, Kicks, no? Parang hindi ka man lang pinagpapawisan dyan sa show mo na yun.
1 hour
Maganda yan eh. Nag-aabang kami dyan pag pre-close eh. Uy, ano
talaga ba?
bibili natin? Tapos ang daming nagtatanong dyan. Tapos ang ganda ng mga watchlist nila. Kaya I hope naman marami pang manood. Kasi kumbaga nandyan yung mga watchlist. Aabangan natin by pre-close. Tapos dumating yung moment dyan na up yung market ng 0.01 o 0.1%. Tapos up to nung closing down na ng 3%. Yan yung last, Rika, naalala mo yan nung nagkaroon ng last minute yun, nung itong month na to. Sobrang, alam mo, unpredictable talaga.